Hey there, my name is Anthony Romano, and this video is going to tell you about the top intermittent fasting tips that you won't find anywhere else on YouTube. So, top intermittent fasting tips. This is solely intermittent fasting, not prolonged fasting or anything like that, but these will still be beneficial for prolonged fasting. But the number one intermittent fasting tip is do a keto diet. 1000% the number one tip is ketogenic diet, because I have a video on the similarities between the two, but keto and fasting are the same state. If you've done an intermittent fast with carbs in your diet, you are just scratching the surface of ketosis, and all the benefits you get from that experience are because your body is inching closer to ketosis. That will be amplified, and all those benefits will be way more amplified if you actually pick up a keto diet, and then your ability to fast will be dramatically higher. So if you've never done keto but you've done intermittent fasting, they're the same state except all day long, 10 times better. And it will make fasting way easier and way more productive in terms of how much fat loss you lose. So the next tip is snake juice. So I'm sure you've heard online of snake diet. Cole Robinson talks a lot about prolonged fasting, but you need electrolytes, and keeping more optimal levels of electrolytes and sipping on snake juice, which is just basically salt and potassium. You can watch his videos if you want to learn that, but snake juice, sipping on electrolytes, salt and potassium throughout the day is going to make any fast easier, whether it's an intermittent fast or a prolonged fast, but particularly for prolonged fasting. Also, I don't know what you're eating. If you're doing just intermittent fasting, your food might provide adequate electrolytes, but in general, salt and potassium would be better to supplement with during intermittent fasting. Now, the next tip is fat at your last meal in the day. If you have fat in your last meal of the day, what's going to happen is the next day, when you have to fast again, your body's going to have more fat for fuel to run with in that intermittent fast. So I said before, intermittent fasting and keto are like the same state. Your body's running on fat, and if there's no carbs at all, it doesn't matter if you're eating no carbs and no other food, but if there's just no carbs, they're the same state. So if you eat fat as your last meal at the end of the day, whether you're on keto or not, your body is going to be tapping into that fat first thing the next day in the morning. So if you fast in the morning, for example. So having your last meal be a fatty meal, your fast that follows will primarily be fueled by a smoother energy source that won't spike your blood sugar. So that's where fat comes in. Now, this also ties into the next tip, which is ketones before bed. And I always have some exogenous ketones, but this exogenous ketones, one of my favorite supplements from my favorite brand, Athletic Alliance, Canadian brand. Everything's clean, everything's athletic, clinical grade. Basically, if you take some exogenous ketones the night before, you are already putting yourself into a state of ketosis. And this is basically like, as I was saying, fasting gets you closer to ketosis if you're eating carbs. If you're not eating carbs and you fast, that's just going to deepen ketosis, because ketosis and fasted state are the same thing. And if you take some of these, even if you're coming from a carb diet the night before, the next day when you wake up, if you fast in the morning, you are already in ketogenic state, and a deep ketogenic state, because taking ketones puts you in that state already. So you'll probably be able to fast double the amount of time, feel better, smoother, and sharper while you're doing it, and overall it'll keep you at controllable appetite levels, in addition to how you feel mentally. So ketones before bed is something that nobody will ever tell you on YouTube. I've experimented with every type of fasting diet, keto diet for the past 7 years, and I'll tell you, ketones before bed is a crazy way to amplify your fast the next day. But ideally, you would still be better off just getting into ketosis, and then you could still boost your ketone levels the night before and then fast longer. That's actually what I've been doing almost every day this week. So the next one is fat fasting. So you can also have fat your first meal of the day. That won't kick your body out of the fasted state necessarily. If you're on a carb metabolism, it has a higher risk of doing that, because eating anything will kick you out of the fasted state. But if you're on a keto metabolism and have fat in the morning with your first meal, basically you're not stimulating the digestive process, and your body's still going to run off of fat and just get a little boost. So again, because your fasted state and keto state are the same thing, you can basically take in small amounts of fat while being on a fast, and your body will just amplify its fat burning. Now, another one is L-carnitine during the fast. This is more of a fat loss tool in addition to intermittent fasting if you're using it for that purpose. And L-carnitine, which is a great supplement for mobilizing fatty acids in your body and actually using them, what's going to happen is if you do any basically cardio in the morning on an empty stomach, throwing in this, any sort of activity during your fast is going to increase the amount of fat you actually burn. I always say to people, this is the type of supplement that does as much work as you do. So if you do a lot of walking around and lots of low intensity steady activity during your fast, take this stuff. It's crazy. You're going to shred fat like nothing. Now, the next one is your liver glycogen. This is very important because the timing of your meals surrounding your fast can very much affect how you feel during the fast and your ability to fast. So, assuming you have adequate electrolytes and everything, if you were to have a carb meal at the end of the day, basically the next day you would have carbs in your liver glycogen would fill up, and you would basically be burning through some of that the next day if you're on a carb metabolism. If you're not on a carb metabolism, that's better, because if you're intermittent fasting on keto metabolism, you're going to be burning more fat. But with a carb metabolism, if you have carbs the night before, you're still going to have some carb energy stored in your liver throughout the next day. And you're going to run through that, and you'll probably be more hungry in the evening time, because that's when, around 24 hours after your liver glycogen is going to be depleted. Then you're going to be hungry, and then you're going to want to eat again. So this ties into having carbs in the morning on intermittent fast. Basically, if you fast in the evening or something, whatever your first meal is, you're filling up your carb stores, and then 24 hours from then, basically, if you have your carbs in the morning opposed to the night, anytime you're filling up that liver glycogen, you're basically setting your body up to run through that in 24 hours. So if you're just eating carbs all day long, that's a different story. You generally won't find it easy to fast. But if you have it at a certain time of the day or night, consider your liver glycogen, because your liver glycogen is going to get depleted average around 24 hours from that point on, unless you do a lot of activity. And from there, your ability to actually intermittent fast will be influenced by this. So if you have carbs in the evening, like I said, you'll tend to be hungrier in the evening the next day. You won't really be hungry in the morning. But if you have your carbs at breakfast, your first meal, and then the evening time you just have fat, right? Maybe fat is your last meal. You'll find it easier to fast the next day. But again, you might be a little hungrier in the daytime because you had 24 hours from your last carb meal. Okay, hopefully that plays in, but it should give you some insight on how to manage where your fat meal should be, where your carb meal should be based on your lifestyle. Beyond that, those are the best intermittent fasting tips off the top of my head right now that I use very frequently. And of course, there are common ones like, oh, sip coffee and stuff like that, right? But I've done all of them, and the ones that you know about, you already know about. These are the ones you probably don't know about, and if you learned anything of value, subscribe to me right now. I'm going to be making plenty more videos on these topics, and any questions you have, leave them. I'll answer you ASAP. Beyond that, I have a free keto meal plan and training plan in the description, Facebook group which you can join and share your experiences with people about keto, fasting, nutrition, bodybuilding, all of that stuff. And I'm going to have online coaching up very soon so I can work with you personally, set you up with a plan, and be there, arms reach, 24/7 all the time. Seriously. So that's a new level of online coaching I don't think anybody else can offer, and I'm going to be doing that very soon. So I'm excited for that. Let me know if you're interested in the comments and elsewhere on social media. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Anthony Romano. Peace.